Hey everybody, welcome in. What a great day, another fantastic day. And as usual, right on time. I think you guys make everything pump. So let's see if this audio is working. Yeah, it is. Excellent. So let's just jump in. We have a lot to cover today. It's like every week, I don't know what it is, but your questions get tougher and tougher and make me work harder and harder. So I don't know if I should say thank you or not. As usual, math, money, freedom. You guys know the drill. Second of all, disclaimer, none of this is financial advice. It's edutainment and it's data driven. So thank you for that. So first of all, let's talk about my favorite. Hello, Switzerland. Alexander. Grüezi wohl. Bitcoin historical August returns. August so far, I did say historically in this cycle, August is always good. We are up, I think it's about 14.55% approximately so far. And that was, I made this chart before Bitcoin pumped. And I know we have a lot of Solana fans out there. Bonkers today with Solana. And as usual, at clockwork, Ethereum pumped afterwards. And now Bitcoin's coming. So got a lot of ground to cover. So let's jump into the first question of the day. This is called From Forget Code, interesting name, with Gary Gensler announcing his views on most crypto projects as securities. What type of effects might securities regulation have? So this is a super interesting and timely question, and the whole regulation series of questions doesn't seem to go away. So this might look a little bit ominous, but we are building what we call a crypto compendium. And this is a very, very detailed quant-based analysis of the top 100 cryptos. It's almost perfect, but basically, the reason we did this was we were very spooked by all the regulations. So we identified all of the key metrics that determine if something is very much at risk from regulation. We also look at things like inflation, dumpage, the amount of insiders, how much they're lining their pockets, and all those other types of factors. And we have a model that's pretty ready to go. And basically it pre-qualifies whether or not we do a deep dive. So in answer to your question, the long-winded answer is we are very concerned and we're making much more of a shift to cryptos that have less regulatory exposure. And that's what we're doing. And we'll talk more about how we gear that in the portfolio in a minute. So this is related to that, in fact. With your most recent addition to your retire on crypto model, you picked up 4 more ETH. Is there any reason why you picked up 4 ETH instead of an equivalent value of Bitcoin? That is from Goats for Life. Goat lover, I hope. So very cool. So when we look at the way we build a portfolio, it's based on the efficient frontier. And this is basically to manage optimal returns, maximize the actual returns while managing risk. You know, I have a very big focus on risk management. Also, with the move towards the previous question, Gary Gensler, SEC, regulatory risk as well, which will probably come to other cryptos all around the world too, because sometimes regulation follows the US model. This will put some of these other cryptos in jeopardy and may even suffer some fines and some distraction and penalties. So that's why we moved to more ETH. And also, there's a whole bunch of other factors as well. The decision when I get into something or reposition, it's a function of risk reward, the price to target price, the current price, the technical analysis, recent moves, and of course how it benchmarks against other cryptos. So that's kind of why we did that. In hindsight, I should have just thrown it all in Sol, but we had a lot of Sol as well. We bought Sol at the same time. So speaking of Solana, a whole bunch of people ask me the same question. Why are you such a Solana fanboy? So, well, on Discord, we created our own dedicated Solana channel a couple of days ago because it's just so important. So let me say, in summary, there's a million reasons why I like Solana, but the very, very short list is, first of all, if you look at today, it is the greenest patch on the map by far. Solana actually was up, I think, nearly 20% at one stage today. Let me just check the numbers right now. Yeah, 20%, and it's 52.54. So it went crazy. It was at $45 a few hours ago, went to 52. So that's one of the reasons why we like Solana. The other reason is really to summarize. They build real solutions for real multi-billion-dollar use cases. For example, USDC with Circle. And there's many, many more that they do. They are tokenizing equities in Europe as well for many institutions. And again, they just get about their work and do it. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is I'm very interested in comparing things, comparing pairs all the time. That's a huge part of what I do. And it is a fraction of the market cap of Ethereum and Cardano. They also have a stellar team with stellar backers. It's very fast, very efficient. And they're all they're all action, no talk when they actually operate. You don't see the Solana team doing 4-hour-long YouTube videos every day. The other thing that I really like to look at, to give you an example of how I frame things up in my little head. If you take Ethereum as a multiple of Sol, it's about 31 times. Now this table might be a little bit out of date because it was done a few hours ago and the prices have moved so fast. So basically the market cap of Ethereum is nearly over 31 times the size of that of Solana. And they do a huge portion of the business and they're growing so fast that Ethereum could do. So I believe Solana will take market share away from Ethereum. I also believe Solana is the only potential ETH killer out there. Now, Cardano multiple of Solana is about 5. So the Cardano market cap is 5 times as large. But again, Solana is doing real world stuff fast. So if you assume these multiples, and assuming the prices stay stagnant, that gives us, if Solana makes up 20% of ETH market cap, that gives us a theoretical price of maybe $245 for each Solana, assuming the prices stay stagnant. And Cardano would be about $190, assuming Solana is worth 100% of the Cardano value. Now, if we imagine Ethereum going to $10,000, and again, holding that same 20%, that could be a $737 Solana. And Cardano goes to $3.50, that could be a $380 Solana. So again, this is, of course, not investment advice, just hypothetical, theoretical models. But when you're analyzing cryptos, compare market caps and see exactly what they do and what type of market share that they could glean from the other. That's why I love Solana. So let's jump a little bit further. And is there a quick way to calculate your average cost basis when you have multiple buys at multiple prices on a token? And is there an app or crypto software screen reader support enabled? Well, first of all, MT, you're touching on a few things there that I don't like doing. One, you don't want screen readers per se. You don't want anything looking at how much crypto you have. I also don't advise against storing your crypto portfolios in public software companies, just in case somebody gets in their door, hacks them, and then knows how much crypto you hold. Imagine you have 50 Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes to $1 million. All of a sudden you're a $50 million man. That might be a target. So be careful of that. Now what I do is I have a Google tracking sheet, which is locked down, and you can track every single transaction that you place, convert from fiat to USDC and then buy crypto, etc. And it tracks all of those different items, and you can build one of these easily yourself. I also share one within Patreon, and an updated model for August is coming. So hold tight, everybody. That's on its way. So let's talk about Bitcoin. This is an interesting question. As Bitcoin rises in price, is there any logic behind quoting Bitcoin price in sats versus a whole coin? Would this drive faster adoption? This is from Neil. And I think there's a lot of validity to this question. So framing things up, I believe it sure would. I totally agree. But the problem is it's very daunting for some people to think about spending nearly 5,500 Satoshis on a cup of coffee. But soon, according to my price forecast, it could be as little as 800 sats per cup of coffee. Now, what I do like to do is look at Bitcoin valuation as a denominator for valuing certain things like gold. And I've shared with you a few slides on that and tweeted it as well. And that is very, very important. So today, 1 ounce of gold is worth about 3.7 million sats. And a couple of weeks ago, it was about 4.6 million sats. So basically, what you're seeing here is as Bitcoin increases in value and gold is flat or goes down, obviously Bitcoin is displacing gold as an inflation hedge out there. And Bitcoin has drawn billions of assets away from gold. And as a result of that, I think gold is actually suffering. So we'll see what happens. But again, as Bitcoin goes up, gold goes down, you see this whole kind of hyperinflation effect. So that's what I do watch very carefully. But again, we'll see. But 4,500 sats for a cup of coffee could scare people. But I think people are coming around. And I'd love to see a menu in a restaurant one day where it's all denominated in Satoshis. That'd be kind of fun. And it's already happening, I think, in El Salvador. So next question from Brent. Several TradingView chartists are calling for another large Bitcoin correction, head and shoulders pattern. Some show Bitcoin breaking channel, etc. Thoughts on why your analysis is contrary? Haha. I hope I don't offend anybody with this, and I'm not saying anything, but this is a big part of what I call the whole lizard brain, the amygdala within the human brain. And sometimes it brings around irrational decisions. Like, for example, in the trading world, some people get nervous, they're risk averse, and they fail to execute buys or sells. And because the emotional learning and instincts is related to kind of the fight or flight response. So I think the problem is, and I thought a lot about this question because it's super interesting before I answer specifically, but the old brain, it hates losing money because it represents money in the old world, represents our ability to survive in the modern world. So the brain, the amygdala, whatever it's called, will avoid crystallizing any loss at any cost. And I think that's why people sometimes hesitate to buy into something. So over the last 5 days or so, I've had so many people hesitating to buy into Solana, for example. Think, oh, it's gone too high, etc. And I sometimes think the same thing. I don't chase, but it's not that I'm afraid. And in fact, I have some limit orders for Solana, even at this crazy price. But I think that is part of the problem. People are afraid, and people like to be afraid. And also, fear sells. Now, the one thing I always say as well regarding TA, and I love TA, heavy into it. I look at charts all day, every day, like crazy. But the point is, you can make any chart tell you anything you want to see. Now, I combat that in Patreon every day. I got people saying, well, the chart looks very bearish, and I think we're going to 20,000 and 30,000, and we're going to crash. And it's like, no. The big factor here that I want to leave with everybody is Bitcoin price is determined by the money flows in and the supply that exists. Period. Now, some people do trade off charts. If they see certain patterns they like, they say, oh, I might enter here or I might get out here. That's it. But the price is all based on supply and demand, and money flows. And I've said that from the very beginning. So don't rely on TA alone. So that's my thought to that. And I'm still extremely bullish on the whole crypto market. And the bull market is in full swing, as we saw today. So next question from Dimitri N. I love this one. So, what if some rogue country decided to print tons of money and buy all the Bitcoin before anybody realizes that the currency is worthless? Sure, it will devastate the country's economy, but since when dictators actually cared about the people? So, Dimitri, super interesting question, and I answer this a couple of ways. One, if you imagine a rogue country printing a ton of money, the way things play out, and it'll play out very fast. People will sell things for money, raise their prices for their goods, services, and labor. Kind of what you're seeing in the United States today. Minimum wage has gone up 50% in a couple of months. People don't actually want to work even for $15 an hour. And everything has gotten really, really expensive. And this lowers purchasing power and debases the value of the money being printed. So basically, the money becomes worthless. So once they print a lot of money, it'll quickly become worthless. And you asked a question which is representative of exactly what's going on right now with the expansion of the Fed and quantitative easing and everything else. So basically, that's another way of determining how inflation actually happens. And inflation could get a lot worse. It's definitely not transitory. There's rumors now that a lot of the ports and other areas are shutting down again, which will bring about supply chain problems, which will bring about further inflation. So watch for that. Not painting doom and gloom, but just merely facts. Okay, not the face. How can we best protect our financial holdings should a black swan event like that in 2009 happen again? Can you touch on the financial instruments to hold, sizing, etc., and what to avoid? So great question. Not the face. So this is basically what I do. And how to hedge your portfolio. First of all, I move out of toppy stocks, like I sold things like Apple, etc., moved to a larger cash position. And I hedge existing positions that are near tops that I want to hold on to. And also I begin to move to safety. For example, Bitcoin and Ethereum and risk off assets. Believe it or not, I believe they are safe assets. I believe it's more likely that a high-flying tech stock will fall more than maybe Ethereum or Bitcoin. And, Bitcoin being the new gold is my whole new thesis now. Now, when the stock market, or if the stock market corrects or crashes, that's also the best time to have your finger on the trigger. And ignore your reptile brain, like I mentioned earlier. Very, very important. So these are the lessons. So when things come crashing down, everybody's running for the door, that's when you need to be ready and run in. And it takes a lot of courage to do that, but start wiring your brain to think in terms of exactly how that is, because there's a lot of talk now. You've heard me talk about maybe a little correction, 10% haircut, but everybody's talking about that now. So we'll see what happens. And there are some interruptions coming down. Thank you for that question. So this is from Steve G. Any thoughts on an exit strategy out of Amazon into Tesla? If current relevant holdings are 100% Amazon and 0% Tesla with other funds, etc., etc., etc. Tempted to flip, set to 0 Amazon, 100% Tesla, and just bet on the faster horse. So this, I thought about this for quite a while this morning, and I'm going to show you a couple of things to help you make your decision. So first of all, I put together my target models, etc. So my Bitcoin bull expectation for 2025 is about 589,000. I just threw Bitcoin in there just so you guys could compare it. And it's funny, when I did this, Bitcoin was at $45,790. That was a few hours ago. Now it's at 46,900. So it shows you how quickly this thing moves. Now I put together my Amazon expected price 2025, and that is 7,660. Current price today, 32.94. And my Tesla price prediction for 2025 is 29.88. Current price is 715. So you can see there, Tesla will go up 318% based on my predictions, and Amazon will go up 138%. Amazon is no dog, and let me show you something to prove that. So this is, actually, let me go ahead. I've got Amazon chart on the other slide. So what I did was, obviously, Tesla's going to perform better according to my model by a couple of fold, but this is important to look at here. And we are playing with theoretical exit models that will work for both stocks and cryptos, and you'll be able to kind of play yourself. You can put in your risk profile, your cost basis, the amount of stocks or shares you hold, and nail in, I said cost basis, and my price prediction or your own price prediction. And this model will quickly determine exactly when you should exit. So I don't recommend going big bang out, but I do recommend timing your exits and doing it piecemeal. Also remember to take into account taxes. So according to this model, based on a risk tolerance of 3, which is very low, 10 is high, 10 is like you just hold forever. But here you would probably exit out of some of your Tesla or some of your Amazon about 3,300. And in the model, you'll see it has the amount of stocks or shares you have left, your cost basis, your profit for the sell, your opportunity cost of selling early. And then on the flip side, you gave me the idea of building out the back end of this, which would be what happens if you flip that money into Tesla, and then compare performance over time. But don't do anything big bang. Do it piecemeal. Pick your exits and also time your entry, very importantly as well. JP Morgan came out with some very bullish recommendations for Tesla the other day, which I was surprised by. But if there is a correction, Tesla's very volatile. It could take a big haircut. It could also be interrupted by the supply chain disruptions that are coming our way. So related to that, you guys are asking a lot of stock questions today. Thoughts on Google versus Amazon stock, and which do you prefer and why, from Edel A. Now let's look at this one. And it's incredible. Everybody's looking to get on the faster horse, which is my whole thesis, is you always want to be riding the fastest horse, like Solana, like Google, like Tesla. So I hope I'm not in one big echo chamber. This is the chart of Amazon versus Google over the last 5 years. You can see that Amazon has performed very well. It's up, I think, 347%, and Google is only up 275% in 5 years. And with people today, they think, oh no, only 275% in 5 years. But historically, that is unbelievable performance. So basically, I believe, though, going forward, Google, because it's a money-making machine with extremely high margins, much higher margins than Amazon, it will do better. Now, let's look at a similar type of model. So first of all, I calculated the fair value today of what I believe Amazon to be worth. And per my model, it's worth about $4,900. And Google's worth about $4,500. So Amazon's worth more, but Google is cheaper. The stock price of Google is $2,768, and the stock price of Amazon is $32.94. So basically, Amazon is 48% undervalued and Google is 63% undervalued. So that's important there. So again, Google seems like it could be a faster horse. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's look at my price prediction models. Again, I threw Bitcoin in there for fun. Bitcoin should go up 1,200% over the next 5 years. And Amazon should go up about 132%. Again, based on my price prediction of 2025 of being $7,668 a share. Now, I am a buyer of Amazon in full disclosure at 3,000. Normally, I trade it between 3,000 and 3,500. Swing traded. I'm not in any position right now, but I would buy Amazon because it is a very nice range rider. And Google, 2025, my target is 7,921, which is very close to the Amazon one. But remember, Google is a lot cheaper now. So the upside is 186%. So I hope this helps you kind of understand why I prefer Google, but it doesn't preclude me from trading Amazon either. I hold Google, also in full disclosure, and Tesla. I guess I didn't mention that as well. So another question came in from Evil Flanders. Why do you not invest in privacy tokens like Monero? And that is a pretty simple answer. Probably the easiest question I got today. And basically here, I do understand the value of privacy tokens, but it's very, very important as an investment. It will not attract institutional money because they are associated with crime and hiding money. Even with the recent hack, the guy put his money in Monero and out into some other privacy currency as well. So it's already tainted, and also regulators may come down hard. So that's one of the reasons I think there's very little upside. It's not like Ethereum where you'll have Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan will put money into Ethereum. They will never put money into Monero. So that's just my take. But never say never, could happen. And a big thank you as well to everybody out there. We have a subscriber and a member called Howard. He was unbelievably generous. So not only could we make our biggest donation ever, but we could name an animal, and we sponsored our biggest animal ever, which is a humpback whale called Howard in California. So Howard, you now have a whale named after you called Howard. Thank you. And in addition, we also adopted baby sea turtle nest, and there'll be full monitoring of how many baby turtles come out of this nest, and we'll let you guys know how that happens. It takes time to build a nest, set it up, have people lay eggs in it, or turtles lay eggs, and everything to happen. So that's all coming in the future. So a big thank you for that. And now I'll open it to Q&A. Let me switch cameras and hope everybody's doing well. Ooh, here we go. Questions are already flying in. So again, a huge thank you as well to Howard. Oh, lots of questions today. Whoops. And somehow I'm really, really thirsty. Victor B, donated 200. Oh, wow. Victor, thank you so much. Try to sponsor a horse. You got it. You got it. In fact, I'm currently in a place that has wild horse reservations in Nevada. And we'll find out if they need any help as well. Thank you so much. X-Ray VSNT. Raul Paul said ETH will be one of the greatest trades when he says ETH 2.0 goes live and everyone will be staking unlocked. Will be a huge sell-off. Yes, I agree. I think middle of March could be a time to watch out because there's a big unlock at the end of March. So I totally agree. But also in the meantime, don't get in the way of the freight train because it's going up. In fact, let's look at ETH right now. It's up for the day. Literally, ETH went from $3,000 to $32.76 since just in the last 2 hours. So crazy performance. Don't get in the way, and nothing stopping the Solana freight train either. So that's all good. So thank you for that question. I do agree. End of March could be tricky, as with any lockup, with any shares. But you know what? If there's so much good news around Ethereum for the future, people may just hold as well. Lock up, or they may just restake their holdings too. Cry Havoc, you mentioned you see ETH following Bitcoin 1 to 10. Does that mean if Bitcoin hits 1 million, ETH should hit 100K? Yes, it does. Basically, it's a very rudimentary metric that I use. I call it this basic 10 to 1 ratio. So, and it's funny the way things are moving right now, but I do see Bitcoin going to $100,000 and ETH going to about 8,900. And I'm actually in the process of revising my prediction models, and that's going to place Ethereum a little higher more towards 10,000 because of all the goodness. But you never know with things that are happening with Solana that could eat into some of that market share as well. So thank you for that question, Cry Havoc. Yes, so that's the 10 to 1. And yeah, in fact, there's a lot of people calling for a $40,000 Ethereum this bull market, which would be mind-blowing. So Franz, if I'm trading a small altcoin using a DEX, Uniswap, and my end goal is to trade out of to fiat, is it better to first trade a stablecoin or ETH? Yeah, so if you're in Uniswap, you have to just trade into a stablecoin and then move the stablecoin out or move ETH out. I personally like doing things in ETH myself. ETH is like my cash. I prefer to stablecoins right now. So France, that's what I do. Keep it in ETH and move ETH around anywhere you want, and you can do so much with it. Daniel Jacobs, you mentioned Mana being a risk of regulation in your reg risk matrix. You listened very carefully. Can you explain a bit? Yeah, there's a couple of things regarding Mana that we don't like. Hang on a second. Let me pull up the chart, and I have it here. Clear and Mana. All right. I tell you why it doesn't score well. Very, very large number of tokens, and insider distribution is very poor. Inflation is okay. And the project's very centralized, and a little bit of regulatory risk as well. So there are some of the reasons why we don't like Decentraland. It's so funny as well when you think of the irony of something being called Decentraland being centralized. I think it's interesting. Anywho, that's Mana. Joshua Freed, not financial advice, but would it be crazy to move Fidelity IRA into Nitro Scuppa? No, not that crazy, but just remember you're going to be paying a lot of fees. But if you already have a big IRA, what I don't really agree people should do is moving cash into an IRA. But if you have an existing IRA, no problem porting it over. And it's a good time. If you're thinking of it, especially with a 3 to 5 year time frame, there's no problem with that at all. Joshua. Rainer, are services like CoinTracker and ZenLedger legit for helping you generate tax reports? It depends. I heard some of the tax trackers don't track certain things, but I prefer to do it all myself. I don't want information out there on the internet. But I haven't looked into them too much. But I did hear that there was one, I can't remember the name right now, but there's one that's definitely top. It's the number one crypto tax monitoring software. But again, it's nothing you can't do yourself. If you can manage a spreadsheet, you can do it all yourself anyway. And everybody should be tracking all of their trades and putting them in a spreadsheet, calculating their average price. Olia's Workshop. If ETH 2.0 moves to POS and regulation kills POS in the US, what do you think Vitalik and team might cancel the 2.0 upgrade and keep ETH proof of work more bullish? No, I don't think that's the case. I think even though people believe the ICO from Ethereum in the year 2014 was basically a security, I think it's beyond the statute of limitations, and now it's sufficiently decentralized enough. It's not perfect, but enough to keep the regulators off the back. They've got other bigger fish to fry first. So always, I don't think the proof of stake train is going to stop. I think they're going to execute that, and it'll be ready in December. So that would be my answer on that one. It's an interesting question though, but I don't think they can change. There's too much momentum already behind that movement. No laughing matter. What's the happiest moment in your investment career? I'd say probably the interesting one. I don't know, buying a bunch of ETH at $200, or buying a Tesla X three years ago, and then a week later buying call options on Tesla. That's probably the best, actually. Not necessarily happy, but basically very good returns, let us say. But probably the happiest I am now is helping others within this community and trying to give back. So I find working with the Patreon group extremely rewarding. So thank you for that. Yuri, when to start taking profits on altcoins in the bull run once Bitcoin hits all-time highs? Yeah, I think Bitcoin is going to go to 64K and then go straight up to 100. And then now it's interesting. There's been more and more disconnect between all of the altcoins and Bitcoin. Even if you look at the action today on Solana and Doge were the only two things green at one stage during the day today. And that shows you that they're disconnected and they're making their own runs, which is a good thing. So my vision for the bull run is everything isn't going to crash together. And I believe the crash will not be anywhere near as bad as it used to be in the past. So I'm not that concerned. In terms of taking profits, again, we have, sounds really cliche, a model for that we are going to build out specific buy crypto, that we support models of based on your cost basis and your risk profile of when you can exit. So it takes all the thinking out of it to help you guys. So stay tuned for that. But I would not worry about Bitcoin hitting the all-time high. That should not be a sign to exit. There might be opportunity, though, to get out of things that have hit their tops and move into things that will run faster. So I still believe there's a lot of upside for names like Solana and Ethereum. Don Ragnar, Solana is not Ethereum virtual machine compatible. Issues for ERC20 tokens to transfer over. And based on Rust language, do you assess this risk? No. I haven't looked into the whole Rust language thing, to be honest. But I see a Solana as its own separate entity. It's not going to be dependent on the EVM platform at all. So not concerned about that at all. And if you look at just the adoption of what they're doing, again, they're making their own swim lane. The performance is off the charts. The efficiency is off the charts. The scalability. They're doing everything right. So it's a very, very, very impressive project. John Roman. What do you think the next financial crisis will be blamed on by cryptocurrency? Oh, do you think the next financial crisis will be blamed on cryptocurrency? No. Obviously, the next financial crisis will be a function of global economic disruption because of C-19, supply chain disruptions, inflation, money printing. That's all to blame. The fact that Bitcoin benefits from money printing is a separate issue, but inflation will be the big problem. Then stagflation, then deflation. That's the way I see things going. AC Hicks, can you clarify why you oppose cryptos with a large max supply? What's the difference between $1 billion 20 versus $100 billion 20 cents? Isn't it the same thing? I think it's just a tiny little factor that I started looking at. When you have tokens with 100 billion tokens, they, on average, more often than not, they're very scammy. And that's why I don't like them. It's just kind of one of the many things we see. So I'm trying to have a vision of taking quantifiable data, sticking into a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet kicking out the answer. And there's a common trend. So if you look at Bitcoin, 21 million fixed supply. That's sounds like a lot, but it's actually tiny compared to all the other stuff out there. There's so many with a billion plus. But when you start getting to 100 billion tokens, it just becomes ridiculous. So that's my take. And I know people say, well, if you add up the amount of Satoshis within the Bitcoin network, it's a lot too. It's a separate issue. So anyway, that's AC Hicks. Yep. But it's just kind of like a scam indicator is kind of what I look for. Then again, there are also scam coins that only have 1 million tokens. So works both ways. So DL. Is Solana a buy at this price, given it could go way up? Also, do you see danger for Sol with regulation? I have... it's hard to say. I think Solana has a lot of upside to go. But it's hard to buy something that just got up 20% in a few hours. And I have a discipline of not chasing. But I do have limit orders all the way down. So if there is any type of dip anywhere below 50, I will get them filled. And I have them every $2, all the way down to 40 with increasing severity. So that's what I see. Looking at the Bollinger Bands as well. It's outside the Bollinger Band, which means it has to retrace back to the center line before it comes back. So I think there will be a little bit of a dip. And under 50, buy a little bit. 45, buy more. 40, buy more if it goes that low. But that's what I see. And in terms of danger with regulation, no, not so much, because of the way they're structured and how their team is assembled. Like if you look at all the smart money behind Solana, They're too well connected and too well organized, and actually they're quite decentralized as well. So not a red flag there. And I was concerned about that, but didn't see any red flags. Phoenix Cloud Technologies wanted to mention you actually get sell through MetaMask and transfer Celsius. Separate, can you give some insight on Litecoin? Yes, you can. We actually did a video, I think it was on Friday or Thursday, with FTX and how you can actually, within the US, buy the FTT token. Litecoin is not something I look at. I don't like anything with a shady, dodgy history. And the work that was done in the past with a guy who will remain nameless, I just stay away. And let me see if I can even see the chart. Sign I really don't even look at something is because I don't even have it in my crypto list. I even have a lot of garbage in there too. Let me see. Litecoin. I know a lot of people, I know the USDC or ETC, Ethereum Classic, was on fire today as well, and a few others. Let me have a look at Litecoin. Check the chart. Again, it's not one I look at ever. Yeah, if you look at the chart, you'll see why. Yeah, I know a lot of people are holding it. They're waiting for that 400, 420 again. Who knows, it might get there. But again, I always say there's faster horses, safer horses to be on. No need to play around down there. Okay, let me see. BitGo, when can we see some charts and thoughts on VGX? Yeah, I've been so busy with other stuff, I haven't had time to rifle through that, but I will be doing an updated assessment on all of the, what I call the Bitcoin proxies, and all of their holdings, try estimate price targets based on Bitcoin price targets to see if there's any value to be had. But VGX has run quite a bit, so BitGo, stay tuned, coming soon. I'm just so busy with stuff, and what I do is I prioritize content that's most relevant right now, and VGX didn't make the list, I'm afraid, but it will soon. Eduardo Marquez, I have 500 euros sitting around the exchange doing nothing because everything is pumping. What would you invest them in right now? Yeah, it's this is part of the whole, you're doing good by waiting and having some cash. Everybody should always have some cash, Eduardo, so that's a positive. But everything is kind of going a little bit crazy right now, and it's always dangerous to buy after things have run so fast. There's a couple of things that haven't run but are on the verge of maybe running, like Algorand. They're still cheap. So maybe have a look at some of my favorite cryptos against some of my price targets and find out what actually hasn't run yet. And that could be an option. And also, get at least one Solana if you don't have any. So that should be, I don't know what that is now, but 45 euros. So Terry Buckner, would you pump XRP for a bit and then trade it for Theta? Also, what are your thoughts on Theta? Theta we're digging into right now as we speak. XRP, I know it's been on fire. I think you might mean, would you dump XRP or pump? I don't look at XRP again. Tainted background, I stay away. So I really have no comment on that. And I know that they are doing some good work in some far-flung parts of the world. But I don't know. But Theta is looking very, very positive from the outside looking in. And yeah, it's probably a safer bet for sure. And thank you for your donation. Chadwick, you're very kind. Scott Courtright, Jason Trim, AC Hicks, Mark Hyde, James the Modern Day Robin Hood, Bon Biggie. I have pretty much Sol. Thanks you. Yay. Good job, Bon Biggie. You also made a good case for me swapping Vet for Sol. Yeah. Well, I'm glad everybody's enjoying the Sol ride. I just was looking at Patreon. I'd made 15 posts since April on Solana. So I've been banging the table on that one. Probably a little too hard. Probably driving people crazy. Cryptolicious. You anticipate $108,000 Bitcoin year end. Now remember, I don't think year end now anymore. I could go till March or even further. Some people are even saying June 2022. But continue to hodl or take profit or sell some and buy back dips. Snacks for Winston. You're very kind. Yeah, so it's hard to say where things go. I've got to really, to forecast out 8, 9, 10 months. I'd much rather see exactly where things are and how the overall market's doing, how the economy's doing, what the macro environment's doing, what the regulators are doing. There's so many factors here, so it's difficult to say. But I personally would like to hold and hedge. And that way I can control my risk without actually having to sell. Don't need to sell, don't want to sell, want to hold, playing the long game for that. So that's what I would do. For some people though, depending on the cost basis and taxes, that will determine as well what you do. So we should build a model for that to help make decisions. So I hope that helps, Cryptolicious. Slat2x, would you hold ADA or sell ADA for Sol when the price drops again? Yeah, it's actually, ADA has done incredibly well, bouncing from what, $1.30, $1.40 up above $2. I think today it was suffering a little bit, and Solana was on fire. I think the time to move into Solana was probably 1 or 2 days ago. And ADA is doing okay, but ADA is very close to the all-time high as well. It's like 30 cents away, so it's hard to say. But if you don't have any Solana, everybody needs some Solana. And per my presentation, I made the case for why I believe Solana should definitely be worth what Cardano is worth in a market cap perspective. So that's my 2 cents on that. So do with that as you will. But I think that's a bullish indicator for Solana. JR, did you get the opportunity to look into Phantom? Not yet. We have so much stuff we're looking into, and there's only so many hours a day, and we're working our tails off, believe me. But not yet, and it's not even didn't even make the top 100 list yet. So first, JR will pump it into I'm going to make a list of that as well. Phantom, pump it into the crypto compendium and see what pops out. And then determine if you do a bit of luck. And yes, we looked at Raven. And let me remind myself on what Raven is on the model. So hang on a second. There we are. Bear with me, I gotta pull this up. Raven. It's very handy actually having this. Raven, ooh, terrible score. Yeah, really ugly. Worse than Decentraland. So, sorry about that. Yeah, so Toyo, it doesn't look good. The big red flags on Raven. Supply, centralization, insider distribution, a little bit of inflation, some other little factors as well. So, it doesn't look good at all. Red Panty Night, have you done any videos on how to trade options? Yes, I have an entire options playlist. Basically, most of what I know is in there. And also some custom playlists for Patreon. What are your thoughts on Ford or any other EV type plays? And do you think of Synthetics token? Yes, we're looking at Synthetics. It looks okay. In fact, in the model, that's an interesting one to pull up right now too. And I don't know why people would buy Ford when you could buy Tesla. It blows my mind. Synthetics has a better score than anyone, so it's up there. So Synthetics is good, like Theta is good. So those guys are passing. In terms of, there's only one EV type play as far as I'm concerned, that's Tesla. And it might come up every 4 to 6 weeks. Tesla has a very weak time in the market where it dips a lot, and that's the time to buy. So Red Pantone. 3 questions in one. So John 47, is it better to buy ETH or ETH2 and why? So ETH is the same thing. It'll convert automatically when ETH 2.0 launches. So your ETH will convert. So it's all the same thing. Just buy Ethereum. Be careful of the Ethereum classics and all that other stuff. That's not Ethereum per se. Eric Larson, do you have limit orders on Matic? No, I've been digging into Matic. I was a little bit dismayed that it didn't move initially as much as the rest, but now it's beginning to move nicely, and there's lots of bullish press out there too. So I'm just waiting. If I'm buying anything right now, it's like things like Aave and Solana and more ETH if there's any dip below 3,000. That's what I'm buying. Kind of going with the bigger, safer plays right now. Nivart, when you look at your Bollinger Bands and RSI, what parameters are you using? I look at the 2 hour for BB and RSI. I usually run a 10-day closing average. Do you just crypto for stocks? I do. I have different settings for my crypto than I do for my stocks. For sure. My Bollinger Band settings. My chart is a mess right now. Hang on a second. And so my Bollinger Band settings, just pop them out real quick. I use the RSI period of 6, Bollinger period length of 200. And that's it. It's pretty basic. So hope that helps. And you missed some in the bunch above. Not sure which ones. Okay, I'll remember. Synthetics, got that. Raven, got that. Oh yeah, Max Alto. It's a crazy idea to sell 15% of a Bitcoin and jump on Solana given a 3-year investment horizon. The whole argument, faster horse. It depends. It depends on much Bitcoin. If you have a whole coin, don't break the whole coin. Keep it. But yeah, that's totally fine. Not investment advice, of course. But yeah, I do that. Everybody needs some Solana if they don't have any. Even if it means giving up a little bit of Bitcoin. But there is, of course, the safest of all is always Bitcoin. And Andres Javier, your thoughts on Avagachi? It's a small cap crypto that bridges DeFi and NFT culture. So the only NFT thing I do is Engine Coin. That's it. And I don't go outside the top 100. So especially the DeFi plays outside the core ones are extremely risky. So Avagachi, never look at it, Andres, I'm afraid, and sorry about that. But I stick with the top names, especially, the DeFi and the DEXs, they could definitely be under regulatory scrutiny when the time comes. So much more risk there. Having Figura, do you still think 640 is a good entry for Tesla following its recent run up? Yes, it is. And in fact, I do expect some weakness. Let me have a quick look at the Tesla chart for you and see when I can anticipate weakness. So I do expect a little bit of market weakness, and that'll bring Tesla down. There's always FUD that takes the price down. Oh yeah, 640 should definitely be patient. We'll see that price again. We might even see 600 again. Just hang tight. I know Tesla's going to 850, but on its way there, it left some huge, violent gyrations. So hope that helps. Oh my God, there's a lot more questions. So hopefully we can stop the questions because my throat is tightening up. Let me see. Gareth Sims. Any thoughts that there's a rising wedge formation in Bitcoin? And if we're likely to see a breakdown shortly? No breakdown. Break up, if anything. Again, Gareth, don't get too focused on the TA. You got to look at the money going into the whole asset class. That's really what matters. So a lot of people, the whole of the internet is like, it goes back to the lizard brain that I spoke about. I think they want it to fall because they don't have enough. So if they think it, maybe it'll come. But I just see strength. Even with a dip, it just gets bought up. So that's my take on Bitcoin. Yeah, okay, I think I have everything there now. And if I did miss anything, please ping. There's so many questions. Wow. They're all nicely organized now. Okay. Okay. Black Mambo, good to see you again. Do you think Sol is going back to the low 40s soon? I have an order at 43.2. I'm really trying to get filled. First of all, I bump it up to 45.1 and hope for the best. And I personally, Solana became my third biggest crypto position. It overtook Aave yesterday and today with its strength. So let me have a look and see exactly if there's any. It seems to be struggling at $42.50. It's not able to push above that. I think the buying is done for now. The frenzied type buying, but there could be more during the night. So, and I think also with the action, what typically happens in the crypto market, it's a weird phenomenon, but people get attracted to stuff that pumps, and people chase the pump. And I have a pump here. I don't know why they chase the pump. It's very dangerous to chase the pump, and I always tell people to be careful. So I don't know why they do that. So yeah, hold tight, but with the strength down to that level, I think 45, you might get a good fill. 43, we might not go that low again with the amount of action we saw today and the volume. crazy volume all the way up, very evenly distributed. So yeah, if you want to get some Sol, you may have to go a little bit higher. And of course, not financial advice. Like, I've got no problems now buying Solana at 45.1, 47.1, etc. RFF, your thoughts on Cody? They are powering 88 play, TPS as fast as Solana. I never heard of Cody. Let me take a quick look. CODI. See how big it is. Give me 1 second. Yeah, ranked number 300. Again, I don't go that far out. It's way too dangerous. Outside the top 50 is way too dangerous. Going out to, and speed isn't everything. You got to look at the trilemma of, the importance of decentralization and, of course, scalability and speed. So it's only one factor. But it just way too far out. Also, the circulating supply is very small, 30%, which means there's going to be a lot of token dumpage, which will bring about price suppression. So RRFF, number 300 is just too risky for me. Air to the Ron. The crypto index funds coming will drive prices up too. They sure will. And there's a lot coming, and a lot of positive news as well about Gary Gensler maybe approving a Bitcoin ETF. Way ahead of an Ethereum ETF. People thought that the Ethereum ETF would happen first. Looks like that's not the case at all. And a big thank you for your donation as well. Thrift Store Theater, Tuna's on Toast. That's a cool name. Got into Sol 41. Nice work, Tuna Toast. And Mike Carrington. Oh, and you, John 47. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Alech. Thoughts on Polkadot? I like Polkadot. I have Polkadot. It's been one that actually has done okay, but nothing like what some of the others have done. Let me check my retire on crypto portfolio and see how we are doing compared to my targets. Let me pull this up. Polkadot. So it is, well, it's up 117% since we got it. The target is $129, and it's currently trading at 23. So yeah, it's got some ways to go. I still like it, and they're doing incredible things. Plus the founding team is exceptional. So again, Polkadot is definitely a good one to have. Thank you for your donation as well, Neon Visual. You're always so kind for the lizard brains. Yeah, we all have lizard brains. We come from dinosaurs. Caligula, try some fresh ginger tea. So good for the vocal cords. Thank you so much. You're so kind. And JLock619 and little Timo Sosa. Sounds like a baseball player. I don't know what to do with my money. Should I put 50% in ETH and 50% in Bitcoin? Or should I put more in ETH and more Bitcoin? I think everybody should be like 65% Bitcoin, 35-40% ETH. ETH will run faster and perform better, but it's riskier. And there's still unknowns about ETH 2.0 and stuff like that. So the safest asset is always Bitcoin. So little Timo, go for that. And a quick reminder as well, tonight, DCA, I'm with Rob from Digital Asset News and George from Cryptos R Us at 5:30 Pacific, which is in about 2.5 hours. Hopefully my voice will come back by then. And so little Tim, hope that makes sense. Lenny Nero, have you ever looked at CRO? Yes, we are digging into that and it looks okay so far. So we've done FTX and Cell Token, and CRO is coming up as well. And then Voyager too. So we're doing those, and overall it looks really good. But with most of these utility tokens, you got to make sure you use the platform to get the benefits of the tokens. They don't make much sense to hold standalone as speculative investments. You're better off in some other type of crypto directly. So I hope that makes some sense. And I think that could be it. I see maybe there's some more. No. And while I'm waiting to see if there's any more questions. Syed, please thoughts on Hi-Fi, formerly mainframe backed by Arrington XRP. Yeah, well, right there I see red flags all over the place. And I've never heard of Hi-Fi. So you got to look. So what happens in this crypto space is a lot of people bounce around. Hi-Fi Finance, you've got people that are part of a crew. This is number 328, so also way out there. Tiny market cap, micro cap. Good news, it's fully circulating, but the performance is not good. That's pure speculation, and there'll come a time when people will stop playing with these cryptos out there. And anything backed by XRP, there's a lot of cryptos back other cryptos, and that's not necessarily a good thing. So, Syed, just from the outside looking in, I don't know why people want to play with the stuff when there's so much good stuff in the top 10. In fact, Solana is top 10 now as well. So, Hilarion Castro, with computer chip manufacturing companies increasing in value significantly, do you think the precursor gas companies have a chance of similar gains? Let me see. Precursor gas companies. I'm not too sure where you're coming from there, Hilarion Castro, as in companies that make petrol engines or gas energy. I'm confused by that. Yeah, and computer chip companies, not all are doing well. I know Nvidia is doing very well. Intel not doing so well. So maybe if you can clarify gas companies, chance of gains. And again, if you look at like the S&P 500, the Russell 2000, which are like the mid-market 2000 companies, they hit the top back in March. They haven't gone up since. The whole S&P 500 has been carried by 7 or 10 top names, and the rest is all flat. So again, wait on some good equities to be there at a very good price. Hopefully, if there's a dip or a little correction over the next month or two. Peter Pan, EWT. I looked at it. I don't like it. And I know, they work with Pacific Gas and Electric and they do clean energy and everything else. But there was a few things that did not look good. In fact, we have it in our risk profiler too. So let me just pull up the score of Energy Web token to see in the crypto compendium if it's any good. And this thing is kind of saving my life because that means I can answer stuff for you guys real fast. Energy Web token, horrible score. Yeah, it is heavily centralized. Big ding there. Circulating supply, horrible, etc. Inflating. Yeah, it's not good. Completely disqualified from any type of research based on our model. So sorry about that, Peter Pan. I know people want everything to be green energy and everything else, and I get that. That's why I invest in NextEra. And I shorted them last week, by the way, too. So fingers crossed. Let's see if there's any more questions. If not, that'll be a wrap. And then I need to go prepare for DCA show with George. Okay, a bunch more. And hopefully it's finished now. And thank you, everybody, for being so generous. And we love helping the animals. And we have a couple of people that actually identify the most worthy charities. And we're going to check out horses, too. Irina Kapitov, do you know of Hexcoin? I do. Creator Richard Hart predicts that right now it's a dead cat bounce area and Bitcoin will go down 10K, 85%. So first of all, Irina, Richard Hart is probably the biggest scammer out there. And he's in some very, very competitive field. Don't believe anything he says. He wants to pump his Hex coin. And to do that, he needs people to withdraw their money from Bitcoin and go into Hex. So he's trying to scare the market. He is absolutely full of it. So the fact that Bitcoin is going to 10,000, I would bet all my Bitcoin that that's not going to happen. So that's how confident I am. So Irina, be very careful. Just research the background of Richard Hart. Google it. Richard Hart background. And then you have all your answers. Watch any of his videos. Would you trust him looking after your child or your puppy? There's your answer. Now, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody, but how he takes Ethereum in exchange for his Hex. Why does he want Ethereum? Why isn't he keeping all the Hex for himself? And look at the tokenomics as well of Hex. And look at the lack of information you can even find out about the project. It's all It's all a mystery, which is a big red flag. So MSK, GWD, and boy, would it be nice if Bitcoin went to 10,000. But no, sadly, it's not going to happen. MSK, GWD. Do you think there's a chance for GameStop to be successful with the new management plays they've been making? So GameStop is currently, I think it's trading at 15 times its actual intrinsic value. So until they get rid of all their brick and mortar stores and they move completely to a Amazon-like e-commerce model, they're going to be in trouble. Yes, they have good management team, but the valuation right now is being manipulated by the Diamond Hands Reddit group and hedge funds and Robinhood. And the only people that are losing are the retail investors. And the hedge funds are just making money from the retail investors. They're orchestrating everything. Robinhood's giving them all the information of the trades and the volumes and everything else. So, no, it's like AMC, completely overvalued. That's not really worth it. And I think anyway, games themselves are all going onto the blockchain. So there's no need to go buy consoles anymore. And you're talking to somebody who doesn't know the first thing about video games at all. So completely ignorant of that field. But I do know people aren't buying consoles as much as they used to, and they're not buying CD-ROMs or whatever chips they put in the machine to make the gameplay. It's all going online. All you need is internet access. Gold Star, been trying to crunch the numbers for crypto retirement for 2025. For a 200k investment today, all your videos are for 2030. Thoughts? So they have, so when I do my price prediction models, they always go out 10 years, and you can just take some of my models. I can build a model on that because I have all the data, just need to crunch it. So sadly, the retire on crypto model, it's the 50,000 we put in June 22nd. It's now up over 130,000. So it's the whole thing is, yeah, it's gone up really well. The average gain on all the cryptos is 80.42% right now. And the biggest performers are Solana, Aave, and Polkadot, would you believe? That's nice. So buying in now, you won't get the same bang for your buck. So, but Gold Star, let me think about that. And if you're in Patreon, I can definitely put it together. And thank you for your donation earnestly. Super kind. Hopefully that's a wrap. Got a lot of work to do. And this has been great. But I'm at an hour and 5 minutes. Full disclosure. Last question. I'm starting a 6-month thesis in a top-ranked uni, investigating the environmental impact of Bitcoin mining, trying to track mining around the world. Any advice of where to look at? Yes. Go to Michael Saylor and his mining committee. They have thousands of people crowdsourcing all of that mining data that you need. And they are 99% sure that crypto mining, Bitcoin mining, is 56% renewable last time they checked. So full disclosure, check with Michael Saylor's organization, and they're extremely helpful. They share everything that they have, and they'd even be willing to collaborate with you. They may even want you to help them crunch some of the numbers. So it probably gets a little bit sketchy when you're trying to figure out exactly what sources they're using in Kazakhstan and other places, but there's a ton of information and work being done, and I know Kathy Wood from ARC is behind it, and Jack Dorsey's helping, but Michael Saylor is the main guy, and he's very accessible. Hilarion Castro, to clarify earlier, companies like Air Liquide or Lind, natural gas, for chemical vapor distribution that are used in computer chips. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Hilarion. I don't know anything about liquid gas or chemical vapor deposition. That's not my wheelhouse. But I will dig into it for you and ping me next time. Just throw $1 at the super chat and I'll have an answer for you. But I'm afraid I don't know anything about CBD. Never even heard of chemical vapor deposition until now. But sorry about that. And hopefully that's a wrap. So I'll wait for final word from Katie on that one. And I'll be back online in about 2 hours with George and Rob. So is that it? That's it. Awesome, everybody. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in about 2.5 hours on George's channel, Cryptos Are Us. Thanks.